in the initial college football 12-team playoff season. What a year it has been. It's the KNC Masterpiece here on 105.3 The Fan. Will Chambers in today with Mike Bassick and Alec Medford, now joined by College Carter.
Gentlemen.
How are you?
Dude, I am so pumped to talk to you, Carter.
I forgot we had a college football playoff game on tonight. So when I woke up this morning and saw that
Not
on
all
the
four were
ESPN
tomorrow?
feed, I was like, all right,
I know
here we
you
go.
just said that. Can I get the party started, though, Will, with
Please.
University of Texas? Because we do have a local team, a regional team in this thing. We haven't talked about them yesterday or today.
Mm-hmm.
They're favored by 13 points for the noon kickoff tomorrow against Arizona State.
I'm kind of with Bobby. He said this morning it should be 23.5. I don't totally agree with that. I think this is going to be the blowout.
I agree. I was on KRLD earlier.
You're on KRLD
This
right now.
guy.
Yeah, double KRLD day for me.
You're
But
AM and FM.
on the AM earlier, I said that I think
Stealing my bit, man.
I think Clemson, the team Texas just beat by double digits, is a more talented team than this Arizona State team that they're about to play. And Arizona State probably has a better singular player in Cam Skattebo. Although with what Cade Klubnik did with Clemson, it's close.
Hey, great game.
This is strength on strength for Texas run defense versus Arizona State's running game. And Texas's run defense has been excellent all year.
Outstanding. Arizona State's without their top wide receiver, Jordan Tyson, and Sam Leavitt from Michigan State transfer. I'll say this. If he is able to make some big plays down the field, I would be a little bit nervous if I were Texas fans because you have the speed. You've got everything on defense. You really have everything to shut them down.
But that's something we saw that Cade Klubnik and Clemson were able to exploit in the second half of their game in Austin a couple weekends ago. In the second half, it was just pass after pass after pass, and it worked. And the reason Clemson stopped scoring is when they started to run the ball.
Well, yeah, and I think that was kind of a comeback effort. I think it's a good point. I guess I'm thinking it more in regards to the first half and like the first quarter. Because Texas kind of just boom, boom, boom. And they have done that all year. In fact, I don't think that they've had their scoring touchdowns on their first two possessions, let alone their first three.
Yeah, I believe I saw that was the same stat. They hadn't done
and from
that
then on,
this game.
You knew Clemson was going to be throwing the football. And I will say last week, and the biggest key for everybody was that every team was able to, at some point, run the football. Now, I think Ohio State did a better job of, the winners.
Oh, the winners, okay.
I think Ohio State set up the run by the pass, which they should have. But, and I think they're going to be able to run it against Arizona State.
I'm rooting for UT. I think the Longhorns are going to win. You guys are way more experts on this, like 1,000 times more of an expert. But since you guys are talking about UT and how they're going to blow this game out, Will, give me $20 plus 13.
Okay, all right.
Arizona State.
Forks up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Forks
rooting,
up.
I'm
There you
rooting
go.
for UT. If I lose this 20, I want UT to win. If they win by 20, great. I'm going to be honest. I am not a Quinn Ewers fan. I don't think he's a good quarterback.
No.
I think he's solid I think he's going to be a horrible draft pick. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope Quinn Ewers does great. He's a local
If he's
kid.
drafted this year, I agree.
But give me Arizona State because I do think that they'll be able to keep it close enough to cover the spread.
My biggest thing in this one is so far we have not seen any of these, pop-up teams, so to speak, SMU, Indiana, match the moment. And Arizona State.
I remember watching Arizona State playing the Rose Bowl, and it was a good game.
Oh,
Joe
Germain and Ohio State versus Jake Plummer.
Remember Jake Plummer?
Wouldn't they have been national champions that year had they won that game? I think they were undefeated. This is 96, right?
Yeah.
I believe they were undefeated going into that game. I think they would have potentially been national champions had they won that game because that's one of those weird ones you look back. It's like Arizona State was 12-1 this year.
Good
whatever.
recall on that. Boy, I had not considered that. Plus, I don't think the words Joe Germain have come out of my mouth in about 15 years. But
I think the way, if just on the topic of Quinn Ewers, if he plays down to the level of competition, that's how Texas loses this game.
Yeah.
If he plays neutral like he did against Clemson, they're going to win by double digits.
If they have red zone interceptions, like red zone turnovers, and that's why I've been saying pretty consistently, you got to play Arch Manning more in these games because, especially in the red zone. But I agree. I mean, I think the biggest problem is going to be when Quinn Ewers goes up against Ohio State or Oregon.
I feel like I'm leading this topic because I know you guys could talk for hours about one game. Let's move on. How in the world is
Ohio State?
Is Ohio State? Thank you, because how are they favored by 2.5 points?
Because they finally look like the team we thought they were going to be in the preseason. Because they just put a mollywhopping on Tennessee, and a good Tennessee team. But the first time these teams played, it was a close game, and it was in Oregon, and Ohio State only lost by 1 point. So, and
here. Well, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
I've said it a couple times on these airwaves, but Oregon, they're undefeated. They're just a boring, undefeated team. Like, I don't think people really look at them as, like, that exciting. So I think because of that, we just saw Ohio State look as good as they did against Tennessee, and they were supposed to be this team the whole year. That's why it shifted in their favor.
I think Chip Kelly has been holding this team back a little bit by wanting to be very physical and running the football with two very capable backs. And let's be honest, Will Howard is not spectacular in any way.
He's a get-the-job-done kind of guy.
He's a guy like, get it to those guys over there, Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka. Two of the best receivers that you're going to have. Jeremiah Smith is the best in the country. I mean, I think that's consensus there. And he's 19 years old, if that. Instead, Michigan, they were trying to run the ball and establish all that. And then my question after that game was, what exactly was the game plan here? Why would you continually go to that? And it wasn't working. And then against Tennessee, that first drive, they had some penalties in there that help at 75 yards on that drive, all of them through the air and penalty. Second drive, 18 yards, boom, to Jeremiah Smith. Run it for 4, boom, pass it for 40 to Emeka Egbuka. They were doing the pass to set up the run, and that's where they are dynamic, and that's where they have to be. Will may throw it to you, but it doesn't matter if you're getting those big splash plays, I feel like, and that's what they're going to have to do in the beginning. That and get after Dylan Gabriel. 2 losses Ohio State has had this year, didn't get a sack in it. The only games this year they haven't recorded a sack, and they're usually getting 3, 4, or 5. They've got to get pressure on Gabriel.
Chip Kelly's biggest mistake was leaving Oregon, and Chip Kelly won't figure it out against the Ducks. Give me the Ducks plus 2.5, and they're going to win straight up.
Isn't it funny that would be an upset, technically, the number 1 team over the number 8 team?
Honestly, it didn't matter who. I mean, I can argue my way for either of these teams to win. I literally do not know what I'm going to see outside of what I believe we're going to see, and that is the Peach Bowl from 2 years ago between C.J. Stroud and Stetson Bennett, Georgia and Ohio State.
Yep.
I think that's the game we're going to get. And boy, God, from my lips to God's ears, we get that, especially in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, that scene with the sun setting on the mountains, it's everything you could ask for. My fun Ohio State fact is they haven't allowed a passing touchdown since they lost to Oregon.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. 4
passing touchdowns all year, 2 of them to Gabriel in the Oregon loss. 2 before that, nonsense.
So what they're doing differently is they're playing Caleb. I was listening to Joel Klatt earlier in the week because he talks to the coaches and all that, and he explained how Caleb Downs, they moved him closer to the line of scrimmage, so he's really playing basically in the middle of the field. Also, in the beginning of the year, they're really just doing straight rushes, and they could not get after Dylan Gabriel, who is just carving up Denzel Burke. 212, 2 touchdowns in the first half. So now they're doing a little bit more exotic looks and blitzing to get after the quarterback. So it is a really different defense from what they saw in the first match.
This is why I have to lead you guys. We got 3 or 4 minutes left here at most. Notre Dame and Georgia. And look, Quincy Carter's the quarterback in this game for Georgia.
Going old school.
And they're favored by 1.5. Give me Notre Dame plus 1.5.
All right, good. I like Georgia in this one.
I like Georgia as well. And I'm still riding off the fact that they beat Texas with a backup quarterback on short notice coming in for an injured player, and they still came back and beat what a lot of people think is the best team in the playoff. I hold a lot of value in that. And Will's point from earlier in the show, Gunnar Stockton's now had a month in Georgia's offense to be the lead guy and figure things out. And I think that's going to show. I think this is going to be just as good of a game as the Rose Bowl could be.
Yeah, I think so too. These are going to be the 2 close games. I mean, look, the passing game for Notre Dame is not dynamic. Riley Leonard, runs the football pretty well, and Georgia does struggle against quarterbacks or teams that have quarterbacks that can run it. But it's the most fascinating thing of the weekend, I think, is going to be Gunnar Stockton. He was an All-American after his freshman year of high school. 5-star recruit, was 24/7 Sports #1 dual threat, quarterback coming into college. Who knows? This could be like the revealing of Tua back when Jalen Hurts was the quarterback at Alabama. So,
man,
I don't know. I'm not predicting
a high
that
thing to live up to, but
yeah.
I think just the way Kirby Smart builds his teams, and I know the offense this year hasn't been as good as Georgia's has been over the last couple years, but it seems as easy of a spot to come in, relatively straightforward as a spot to come into as a quarterback and know what you're doing and get the offense to hum. Get the defense will do its job, and Georgia will just keep rolling.
Mike, you're right in this. If Notre Dame does win this, it'll be the biggest bowl win in 4 decades.
What if they win it on a last-second, long pass, and Notre Dame, the Catholics,
that's exactly
win on a
the
Hail
stuff.
Mary?
And then proving me right. I mean, how many times do we do this when we have these conversations? It's like the one thing that you think, no, they can't really do, and you're like, boy, did they do the crap. Well, last week, Clemson.
Hey.
Well, and Notre Dame Riley Leonard had a really good passing game. Like, he was passing the ball really well against Indiana, which I thought that was going to be mostly run heavy.
Yeah.
And they were really balanced in that game.
Yeah.
You have all the favorites. In our $20 betting.
Oh, yes, I do.
You have tonight, you have Penn State -11.5.
What's the Georgia Notre Dame line now?
1.5.
1.5.
Okay.
You have Texas at -13.
That's big.
You have Ohio State at -2.5.
It's moved to 2.5.
Yeah.
Because it was 1 last I saw.
And you have
Sharps are going in
Georgia
then.
at -1.5. So you have all the favorites. I have all the dogs.
Okay.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
I'm excited
but
too.
I'm super excited now that I have a whole $80 on the line in these games.
Heck
4
yeah.
hours. 4 hours till Boise State and Penn State tonight. Can't
I know.
wait.
I'm Papa-doing it. If you want to say what's up to me, I'll be at the Oaklawn Papa-Do's.
Oh, hell yeah.
Having a nice seafood,
seafood
dinner,
tower?
early dinner. Well, I like I do like their fried platter where everything's fried. I do like.
That's right.
I know. Just fry it all up for me.
It's the last time
New
you'll have it this
Year's.
year. Yeah, last time of the year.
Yep. And then I'm going all underdogs tomorrow.
It's on the dogs.
Did you give?
Except
were
for
you
the dogs.
Did you give picks too? Did you on these as well while we were on the way through?
Penn State, Texas, Oregon, Georgia.
Okay. All right.
So you like
2 Big Ten.
You like
2
one
SEC.
Underdog in Oregon, and you
who's the number 1 seed? Yeah. So yes.
Oregon is so fast. Too.
I think Boise State will cover tonight, though. I'm with you. I think they'll cover. Penn State gives up a lot of rushing yards. They don't give up a lot of big plays, which is what Ashton Jeanty's thing is. They give up a lot of yards. So I think he will wear them down.
And
as
they
much
don't
as he can
they're
and
not
keep it
explosive
close.
offensively. Aller is. I had a note here. So I'm not going to.
Well, even
This is awesome, though.
really quickly, early in the game against SMU beat themselves. Penn State didn't have to do a whole lot to win that game. If Boise State doesn't crap themselves to begin this game, that's Penn State they didn't have to face that with SMU. I think that's going to keep things close too.